Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our English Learning Podcast. I am Mr. J, and as always, I am here to help you feel more comfortable and confident when you speak English. Today, we have a very special topic because it is the first thing you do when you meet someone new. We are learning how to answer that famous question, "Tell me about yourself."
Hi, Mr. J. Oh, I love this topic. It sounds easy, but sometimes when someone asks me, tell me about yourself, my mind just goes blank. It's like I forget my own name.
You aren't alone, May. Even advanced speakers get a little nervous. But for our beginner friends listening today, we are going to break it down into small, easy steps. By the end of this series, you will have a perfect introduction script ready to go.
That's awesome. So where do we start? Do we start with our names?
Exactly. Now, in a textbook, you usually see, "My name is," and that is perfectly fine. It's clear and correct. But May, in a casual conversation at a party or a cafe, what do you usually say?
I usually just say, hi, I'm May. It feels more, friendly?
You're right. I'm is a contraction of I am, and we use it all the time in real-world English. It's quick and natural. Listen to the difference. My name is Mr. J versus I'm Mr. J.
It sounds much smoother. So if I meet someone, I say, hi, I'm May. Nice to meet you. And then they usually ask where I'm from, right?
Precisely. That's the next building block. Where are you from? Now, there are two common ways to answer this. You can say, I'm from, or I come from.
I use I'm from a lot, like I'm from Italy or I'm from Rome. Is it okay to say the city and the country?
Absolutely. In fact, it's better. It gives the other person more information to talk about. You could say, I'm from Tokyo in Japan, or I'm from a small town near Madrid in Spain.
Oh, I like that. It makes it sound like a real conversation. What if I live in a different place now? For example, I was born in Brazil, but now I live in London.
Great question. You can say, originally, I am from Brazil, but I live in London now. That word, originally, is a great word for beginners to learn. It explains your starting point.
Originally, I'm from Brazil, but I live in London now. I feel more international already.
You sound great. The key here is to keep it simple. Don't worry about long histories, just the where of your past and the where of your present. For example, May, if I ask you right now, so May, tell me a little bit about where you're from.
Well, I'm from a sunny city in California, but I've lived here for 2 years. It's much colder here.
Yes, the weather is always a good thing to mention. Now, when we talk about where we are from, people sometimes ask about our age next, or they might move on to what we do for a living. But before we get to jobs, I want to talk about how we say our age, because English is a bit different from other languages here.
Oh, I know this one. In some languages, people say, I have 25 years. But in English, we don't have years, right?
You hit the nail on the head, May.
Exactly. I remember my friend from Spain always says, I have 24 years. And I have to remind her, no, you are 24. In English, it's like your age is a part of who you are, not something you carry in your pocket.
That's a great way to think about it, May. It is a very common mistake for beginners. So remember, I am blank or I am blank years old. Both are perfect. You can say, I'm 30 or I'm 30 years old. But, and this is a big but, never say I am 30 years. We need that old at the end if you use the word years.
Right. I'm 27 years old, or just I'm 27. Got it. Now, once we finish talking about who we are and where we are from, the conversation usually moves to what we do every day. The big question, what do you do?
Yes, and notice I didn't ask, what is your job? In textbooks, you see, what is your job? But in real life, we almost always ask, what do you do? It's short for what do you do for a living?
It's funny because when I first heard that, I thought they were asking me what I was doing right that second, like I'm talking to you.
That's a classic mix-up. But when someone asks, what do you do in an introduction, they want to know about your professional life. And the answer is usually quite simple. I am a blank or I am an blank. May, what do you tell people?
I say, I'm a graphic designer. I use a because graphic starts with a consonant.
Perfect grammar, May. And if someone is an engineer?
Then they would say, I'm an engineer because engineer starts with a vowel, A-E-I-O-U.
Spot on. Now, what if you don't have a job because you are still learning?
Then you're a student. I remember those days. You can say, I'm a student, or even better, I study, and then your subject, like I study marketing or I study English.
Exactly. And if you want to sound even more natural, you can add where you study. I study history at the University of London. It makes the conversation flow better because it gives the other person something to ask about next.
That makes sense. What about people who are staying at home right now? Maybe they are looking for a job or taking care of their family.
That's a very important point. If you are looking for work, you can say, I'm between jobs at the moment, or I'm looking for a job in sales. If you stay at home to look after your children, you can say, I'm a stay-at-home mom, or I'm a stay-at-home dad. It's a full-time job in itself.
Oh, definitely. My sister is a stay-at-home mom with 3 kids, and she is busier than I am. So let me try to put this all together for a second. Hi, I'm May. I'm from California. I'm 27, and I'm a graphic designer. How does that sound?
It sounds natural and clear. You've covered the who, the where, and the what. But humans are social creatures, May. Usually, after we talk about ourselves, we talk about the people and the animals we love.
Oh, you mean family? I could talk about my family for the whole 25 minutes. I have a big family and a very, very naughty dog.
Well, we definitely need to learn how to talk about them. People love hearing about families and pets because it's very personal and friendly.
It really is, but sometimes I get confused with the words. Like, should I say I have 2 brothers or there are 2 brothers in my family?
That's a great question, May. To be honest, both are correct, but they're used in different ways. If you say I have 2 brothers, you are focusing on your relationship to them. It's the most common way to say it. If you say there are 4 people in my family, you are describing the size of your group.
Ah, okay. So if someone asks, do you have a big family? I could say, yes, there are 6 of us. I have 3 sisters and 2 brothers.
Perfect. And I love that phrase you used. There are 6 of us. That is such a natural native speaker way to describe the size of your family. You can say there are number of us. For example, there are 3 of us, my mom, my dad, and me.
Oh, I like that. It sounds much more like real-world English than just listing names. Now, what about siblings? I know siblings is the word for brothers and sisters, but do people actually use that word when they talk?
You're very observant, May. Siblings is a bit formal. We use it on forums or in more serious conversations. In a casual chat, it's much more common to just say brothers and sisters. However, if you want to be specific about who is older, we use older or younger.
Like, I have an older brother and a younger sister.
Exactly. Or you can say big brother and little sister if you want to sound even more casual and warm.
That's so cute. I have an older brother, but he's so tall, I call him my giant brother. But what about people who are married?
If you're married, you can simply say, I'm married, or I have a husband, or I have a wife. And if you have children, you can say, we have 2 kids, or I have a son and a daughter. Again, kids is very common in spoken English, whereas children is a little more formal.
Kids definitely feels more like a relaxed conversation. Okay, so we've got the humans covered, but we can't forget the most important family members, the pets.
I knew you were going to say that. You mentioned a naughty dog earlier?
Oh, yes. His name is Buster. He's a golden retriever and he's only 1 year old, so he still thinks everything in the house is a toy, including my shoes.
That sounds like a lot of energy. When we talk about pets, it's great to mention their name, their breed if you know it, and maybe a little bit about their personality, just like you did with Buster.
So I could say, I have a dog named Buster. He's very energetic and friendly.
Perfect. And for our listeners, if you have a cat, a bird, or even a goldfish, the structure is the same. I have a animal named name. If you don't have any pets, you can just say, I don't have any pets, but I'd love to have a cat one day.
I think talking about pets is the best way to make friends. Everyone has a funny story about their pet.
I agree. It makes you seem very approachable. Now, May, we've covered your name, your home, your job, and your family. But when we really want to get to know someone, we ask about what they do for fun.
My favorite part, hobbies. I have so many things I like to do, but sometimes I don't know if I should say I like to or I like ing.
That is a classic grammar hurdle. Let's clear that up, because talking about likes and dislikes is where your personality really shines through. The good news is, May, you can use both. Both I like to paint and I like painting are grammatically correct. However, in casual conversation, English speakers often use the ing form, what we call the gerund, when talking about their general hobbies.
So if I say I like hiking or I love cooking, it sounds more natural?
Exactly. It flows a little better. But let's look at some other ways to say it, because saying I like over and over can get a bit boring, don't you think?
Definitely. I want to sound like I have a big vocabulary. What else can I say?
Well, a very common phrase is I'm into. It means you're interested in something. For example, I'm really into photography lately. Or you can say, I'm a big fan of.
Oh, like I'm a big fan of Marvel movies?
Perfect. It shows enthusiasm. Another one is, in my free time, This is a great way to start a sentence about your hobbies. In my free time, I usually go to the gym or read mystery novels.
In my free time. I like that. It sounds like I'm telling a little story about my life. But what if I'm not good at something, but I still like it? For example, I love singing, but I am a terrible singer.
That's okay. You can say, I enjoy singing even though I'm not very good at it. The word enjoy is a slightly more sophisticated version of like.
I enjoy singing. Okay, I'll use that. Now, what about the things I don't like? For example, I really don't like waking up early on weekends.
I think many of our listeners would agree with you there. To talk about dislikes, you can say, I don't like, but if you want to be a bit more soft or polite, you can say, I'm not a big fan of, or it's not really my thing.
It's not really my thing. That sounds very cool. So if a friend asked me to go camping and I hate bugs and sleeping on the ground, I can say, thanks, but camping isn't really my thing.
Precisely. It's a very polite way to say no or express a dislike without sounding rude. Now, let's try to balance it. When we talk about ourselves, we usually mention a few likes and maybe one thing we aren't so fond of to keep it interesting.
Okay, let me try. I'm really into painting and I love traveling to new cities. In my free time, I usually take my dog to the park. I'm not a big fan of cold weather, though.
That was excellent, May. You used a variety of phrases and it felt very real. You didn't just list hobbies, you connected them to your personality.
Thanks, Mr. J. It feels good to have more options than just I like. But sometimes people ask about others, like, tell me about your friends or who do you live with?
You're right. Sometimes tell me about yourself includes the people you spend the most time with. It helps people understand your daily life.
Right, because I live with 2 roommates, and they are a big part of my life. One is a chef and the other is a student. We're all so different.
That's a very common situation, May, especially in big cities. Living with roommates, or flatmates as they say in the UK, is a huge part of many people's lives. When you want to mention them, you can say, I live with 2 friends, or I share an apartment with a roommate.
And just like with family, I can mention what they do, right? Like, my roommate is a chef, so I'm very lucky because he cooks amazing dinners.
You are very lucky. That's a perfect way to add flavor to your introduction. You can also mention your best friend or the people you work with. For example, I spend a lot of time with my colleagues, or my best friend lives just down the street. It shows that you're a social person.
I think I've got it. It's like building a house. The name and where I'm from are the foundation, the job and family are the walls, and the hobbies and friends are the decorations that make it me.
That is a beautiful metaphor, May. I couldn't have said it better myself. Now, we have covered a lot today. Let's do a quick recap for our listeners before we try to put it all into one big introduction.
Okay, let's see. First, we have the greetings and name. Hi, I'm, or my name is. Then where you're from. I'm from, or I'm originally from, but now I live in.
Right. Then we have age. I am, number, years old. Remember, no having years. After that, your job or studies. I am a/n, or I study.
And then the personal stuff, family and pets. I have 2 sisters, or I have a dog named Buster. And finally, hobbies. I'm into, or in my free time, I like to.
Perfect. Now, May, I have a challenge for you. Do you think you can put all of those pieces together into one natural introduction? Just imagine you are meeting a new group of friends at a coffee shop.
Oh, a challenge. Okay, let me take a deep breath. Here I go. Hi, everyone. I'm May. I'm originally from California, but I've lived here for 2 years. I'm 27 years old, and I work as a graphic designer. I live in a small apartment with my roommate and my very energetic dog, Buster. In my free time, I'm really into painting and hiking, though I'm not a big fan of the cold weather here. It's really nice to meet you all.
Bravo, May. That was perfect. It wasn't too long, it wasn't too short, and it gave me so many things I could ask you about. I could ask about your dog, your paintings, or even your design work.
It felt really natural. I didn't feel like I was reading from a book. I felt like I was just sharing my life.
And that is exactly the goal for all of our listeners. You don't need big, complicated words to tell a great story about yourself. You just need the right building blocks.
I'm so excited for our listeners to try this. It really helps you feel more confident when you know exactly what to say.
I agree. And speaking of our listeners, we want to hear from you. We spent this time talking about us, but now it's your turn.
Yes, please don't be shy. We want you to practice what you learned today. Go to the comment section below and write your own introduction.
Tell us your name, where you are from, what you do, and something you love doing in your free time. Maybe tell us about your pets too.
I'll be reading the comments to see if anyone else has a naughty dog like Buster. It's a great way to practice your English writing and meet other learners from all over the world.
Exactly. Writing it down is the first step to saying it out loud with confidence. We can't wait to read your stories.
Thanks for listening today, everyone. You did a great job.
Until next time, keep practicing, keep smiling, and keep speaking English. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.